Today on She Is, I sit down with Kate Mueth, the founder and artistic director of the award-winning dance theater company, the Neo-Political Cowgirls. Our discussion takes us from what it takes to be a woman in the world of entertainment to the qualities that a great artist needs to have in order to succeed, and how we can create more opportunities for ourselves as women artists. Kate Mueth is the founder and artistic director of the award-winning dance theater company, the Neo-Political Cowgirls. She's a director, choreographer, member of the League of Professional Theater Women, and an equity actor. Neo-Political Cowgirls stages site-specific work from the Hamptons to Off Broadway to Berlin, and is committed to empowering the voice of women and girls through creative dance theater workshops. Hi everyone, welcome to She Is, and thanks for watching Woman to Woman TV. I'm Lucia Dragos, and with me today is Kate Mueth. Hi Kate, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Now I know you have a dance company called Neo-Political Cowgirl, and it's been already 8.5 years, or?
About 8.5 years now, yeah.
And you're a director, choreographer, but what prompted to start your not-for-profit dance company, and especially for women?
Yeah. Well, I was an actress. I am an actress, but at the time I was living, and still am, on the east end of Long Island in East Hampton, and had a small boy, my son August, and coming from a classically trained background as an actor, I had grown very weary of coming into the city for auditions, for, quite honestly, projects I didn't necessarily care about. You know, if it was a Red Lobster commercial or whatever it was. And just the experience of going on these auditions, of it being very cutthroat, of it being very much, sitting in that room with all these other women, who I'm sure are fine, wonderful people, but that competitive spirit of, I didn't really get anything out of, of value out of this experience of these auditions. And I was just growing weary, because I'm like, the paycheck, yes, would be great, but seriously, is the work what I want to be working on? And it just wasn't. And as you probably know as well, that the older a woman gets in this industry, the fewer roles, particularly the fewer good roles there are to be had. And I thought, there's got to be more. I feel like I have so much to say, especially after becoming a mom, and I want to say it. And I want to make more work, yes, for myself, but let's bring up as many women as I can along the way. So that's really where the concept of it being a women's dance theater company came from. Is it just became about getting women's voices and what we have to say more into the fabric of our society and into the entertainment realm of our society. I would always get really upset when I would hear, people not going to certain movies because it's a chick flick. And, whether you're a fan or not of that genre, it's one more way of dismissing women's narrative in the world and our stories, and as frivolous as they might be in a particular script. But what if they started becoming more accepted, and it was more of a type of film that everyone would be willing to go to just to hear this perspective? Right. Then we wouldn't necessarily be dismissing women's narrative quite so much, which we get dismissed. It's just like a flaccid muscle that in our society is not working.
Well, for me it was the same. That's why I created Woman to Woman TV, because I still feel that many women are still less than men in the media industry. And then women have a lot more stories to tell, and their voices need to be heard.
Thank you for making this space for women. It's much needed.
Yeah, this is, all the shows are created by women for women, which I think is great. But in the dance world, there are a lot more women than men. You mentioned something to me when we're talking backstage, but there are less women working. So can you explain that?
Yeah, I belong to the League of Professional Theater Women, and it's global, but I believe, I'm not sure if this is quite accurate, but I believe it was, started in New York. It's a huge group of women working in New York in various entities, playwrights, directors, actors, producers who are part of this league. And the numbers, have been studied on Broadway particularly, and it's not good for women. It's 70 to 80% working individuals on Broadway at any given time. It's 70 to 80% men, and the rest are women.
It's astonishing.
It's pretty astonishing.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, it is disturbing, and so the only thing that we can do, and which led to Neo-Political Cowgirls getting started, was like, I'm not going to sit by the phone and wait for permission to work.
Right.
And I don't
you
want to
create the work
you
for
have
yourself.
to create it yourself.
Yes.
I don't want to feel angry. I don't want to be
trying to change the world.
Right. Well, it's also, it's easy to fall victim to just being angry and pissed off.
Yeah.
But it's not productive.
And sometimes they say if there's no door, create one for yourself.
That's right.
So if there's no work, create one for yourself.
Just make it. And I tell that to young actresses now more than ever. If they come to me and they're like, what advice do you have? And I say, make your own work.
Especially now with internet and equipment and technology, everything is so accessible.
That's right.
That there's no excuse. If somebody wants to create the work for themselves, I think they can.
And the people you want to work with are accessible too. And I'm not even saying that as a young actress you're going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to Meryl Streep. I mean, that's fine, go for that. But there's so many capable people who have these skills to partner with. You can find really golden people to partner with of like mind. And
now you're a trained actress, but why you chose to create a dance company?
Well, it is a dance theater company, which is a little different than a dance company straight away. For me, I was trained as a dancer since I was a little girl, and I studied under a Nijinsky-trained teacher named Ed Parrish. He was phenomenal. And then I went and trained with the Dallas Ballet when that was still there. But I loved choreographing ever since I was small. I loved making sense of my world through movement and blocking and choreography. It helped me in my life growing up, the challenges I faced. And music was always very important to me. It was something that always helped me when I needed it, and it inspired me, and it's just very a visceral experience for me. So here I was, trained dancer, loved to choreograph, loved music, but I was also a trained actor. And for me, ballet, while a very beautiful genre of art, it didn't work for me because I wasn't breathing, and I felt like I was being manipulated by very strong-minded choreographers, and I was, that's the world. And I, again, was like, I have something to say. I don't really feel like I want to be bossed around and told to lose weight and, da-da-da. It just wasn't, I didn't want to fit into that box. I wanted to be able to have my curves, or I wanted to be able to move outside of it. I wanted to use other forms of movement, or I wanted to throw in text if I wanted to speak, and I think I really wanted to speak, and that's what led me to out of dance into acting. So with Neo-Political Cowgirls, I always say it's really anything goes. Movement, text, parkour gymnastics, aerialists, opera singers, dancers. It's anything I feel that we need to tell the story.
It is wonderful, and actually reminds me, I started as a ballet dancer, and I trained from a very young age in the communist Bulgaria. So the teachers were very
stiff,
strict. And I remember that was one of the reasons, actually, I didn't feel ballet for me. I wanted some different movement, different sort of expression. And I shift to modern ballet. But even in modern ballet, like discipline, it's a key. But in your opinion, what are the what is one quality that a dancer really needs to develop young dancers?
Well, like you said, discipline in any genre, I think, is really important. As an actor, you need discipline. As actors, we tend to be a little less disciplined than others. But I would say rock musicians are even less disciplined. But that being said, discipline, professionalism. When I work with performers, that's incredibly important. I mean, I've worked with people, quite honestly, who should know better and who acted really poorly, whether in a rehearsal process and it's about the work.
The work ethic. But how one builds a work ethic? Where do you think it starts?
In your home, quite honestly, in your home. And not to say that it can't be learned if you get into a quality conservatory. But I remember when I was in conservatory, there were perfectly wonderful actors that were there, but they didn't really know how to work. They didn't know how to apply themselves. There can be this very lazy approach to acting, which I think is a problem. And I think today in our culture we have a problem with this approach to acting. They don't approach it, so young people don't approach it so much as a craft. We approach it as to be seen and to try to just maneuver my way into networking with the right people. And all of this focus is put not on the craft of how I can be a better craftswoman of my art. It's about being lucky or sleeping with the right person or getting in front of the right person or using the right person to get what I want. And I think it's a great loss to the industry, and certainly there's wonderful actors out there working, and I can pretty much guarantee they're probably very committed, very disciplined, and still fascinated by the craft of the work.
Yeah, I remember there was a saying that they say in Bulgaria, 1% talent and 99 hard work.
Hard work, I agree.
Yeah, and I always give example, when I was in the ballet, there were two girls. One was extremely talented, natural gifts, high kicks and stretch, but she was so lazy. She did not want to go in that training room. She just always skipped rehearsals. And there was another girl who did not have any natural talents, maybe 1%. But she worked till 3 in the morning after everybody left. And she became prima ballerina in the city where I am from. So that just shows you that, yes, natural gifts count, but if they're not combined with hard work.
That's right. I say it to my son a lot, too. Like, there has to be an intelligence behind your talent. You have to know how to use your talent. Right? And you do have to work hard. And it's interesting to me because sometimes, a little more talent goes a long way. But let me tell you, if that more talented person is in the room with me and they've got an awful attitude, I don't want to work with them. It's too hard to do this work. I have a rule in my company, and I kind of casually say it loosely without it being a warning or anything, but no assholes allowed. There's no assholes allowed in my company because it's too hard to do this.
But now, this is great when we choose the people to work with. Sometimes we don't have that choice and luxury. What is, in your opinion, the best tactic to avoid conflict, and especially in a dance, in a creative world, where if there's a conflict?
There's a lot of ego that gets involved. There's a lot of fear. This last production that I did it was Off Broadway. It was called Eve, and it's a dance theater production in 13 rooms, immersive experience. And there was a handful of women, and it was interesting because it was older women. It wasn't the young women. It was the older women, a handful of older women, and I could see that it was fear-based ego that was coming into play that was not fun to deal with, got in the way, and it made it so that it wasn't about the work. It was about whatever's going on psychologically in their head. But conflict is to be expected, and certainly as sensitive, artistic people, we sometimes have flare-outs or emotional outbursts or whatever it is. But I don't believe in avoiding conflict. I think you got to go through it.
Confront it.
You just have to say what's going on, and we try to keep it very calm. I mean, respectful, absolutely. And it doesn't always work. It just means that, okay, I'm not going to work with that person again. it's that person has a lot left to learn, and they need to go learn it on someone else's time because it's not working for me.
Right.
Yeah, but respecting the room, knowing how to be in the room, knowing how to serve the piece, and discipline, showing up not only just on time but early.
Right.
Really important.
Now, what are some mistakes that you've learned from?
My mistakes?
Yes.
One of the major mistakes that I've learned is to make sure I always have enough backup producing help where needed. I think as women we tend to, just get on autopilot of I can do this, I've always done it this way.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't see that what we're handling is growing and it's maybe getting bigger than we can handle on our own, or it's unwieldy and a lot of moving parts, or there's more at stake. So I think for me, the biggest mistake was just not getting the ducks in the row lined up that I really needed lined up to serve the production.
I think it's the same with me. I always feel like, I can do it myself. Yeah. I can handle myself, and even this production. But then, when there's extra help, I see, oh wow, it's really good.
It makes your mind better, right?
Yeah,
when you have the cushion of assistance. Yeah.
I can focus on the guest. I can focus on the things that are important. Not that the other things are not important, but. Yeah, from my aspect.
It's better what I've heard, because we all multitask, right, as women. Yeah. But I've learned, I've read, and it's starting to get into my head a little bit more that, because I feel like the older I've gotten, thinking, I can multitask that. But the bad thing that's happened is I started multitasking with more things. Like it became like more plates in the air, and that's not okay. And I've been reading about how it's really better. Just do one thing at a time. Just really, and it feels better. But also, like, thinking about like what you've got going on here, it's so wonderful because if you can really focus on your prime skill and what you're bringing to the direct line, which is being with, the person sitting in this chair, then it's also a gift to the people around you to be able to watch how you work, and especially if it's younger women, being able to bring them up through the ranks of, taking part of something and being part of it and learning from you. That's an important thing to remember.
I never thought of that.
That you're setting that importance for the women and the men.
Yes.
That are seeing we all learn from each other at whatever level.
Going back to multitasking, I read somewhere that multitasking is a killer of creativity.
Yeah, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, and I read more and more now that you have to focus on one thing only, and when you're done, start the next thing.
It's like a meditation.
And,
it's like it's better to live your life in a meditation.
Yes.
On like one thing. I mean, those other things are going to be there. You just don't have to pay attention to them right now necessarily.
Yeah, I recently started meditating, and it makes tons of difference.
True, right?
Yeah, the ideas just come, decisions come.
Stillness.
Yeah. But also going back to what you said, I think also the important part is knowing yourself, knowing what you're good at. Mm-hmm. Because if I know I'm not that great at being behind the camera, but my gifts are on camera, then I should let the other people do their job behind the camera.
That's right.
But I think only with exploration and trying different things and doing tons of mistakes behind the camera, then you realize. What would you say to people that they wait to be ready to know what they want and then go for it?
I don't think that's right. I think you're never going to be ready. It's like people are like, I'm not ready to have a child yet. Well,
you're never ready.
What does that look like? Like, what does it look like to be ready? And how does it feel inside? We don't know. It's like, I think, let your passions draw you to what you're interested in and what you want to work on, and work on it full force, letting in all the world things that you can, because those things affect this. But just go with where your curiosity is, and just hunger for it, and stuff yourself on everything you can know about that thing you're passionate about. And then just, the opportunities come to you. You don't, honestly, I mean, yes, there is working towards your goals, absolutely, and being committed to your passion absolutely takes you closer to your goals. But personally, my experience has never been that, I have a map, and I'm going to follow this map, and I'm going to walk that way and knock on that door, and then this will happen. No, the greatest opportunities have come to me when I've had my head down and I've been working and working and working, focused on my passion. Because when you do that, it's not about you saying, look at me, oh, pay attention to this, this, and this. It's you're working on your work. And that is attractive to the universe. And that brings people to you. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes, it
and
does.
Opportunities. And truly, out of that work of passion and commitment, opportunities do come to you.
Now, back to the your dance company. I think it's very outside of the box.
It is, yeah.
When you started, was it something that you had to go outside of your comfort zone?
No, I actually just, I went to the place where I was most comfortable, which is why I probably never really fit in or felt comfortable in ballet companies or as a dancer like that. You know, you kind of have to, and I mean this in the best of ways because ballet is a beautiful art form. And while I was good as far as a dancer goes, I wasn't like some stellar dancer. I was just never comfortable in it. I just don't work well in groups where I have to think like everybody else.
So you're comfortable with stepping outside of the box?
There's no box for me. I
no
kind
box.
of am out there. That's where I live, out there. And, you know, people have called our work edgy. They've called it mind-bending. They've called it weird. They've called it astonishing. It's very visual heavy. And I think also because music is our driving force, but we use music really as a prompt for the story, and the story is kind of in the music as it unfolds. And it's a very, very physical art form of what we do. The physicality is wild, and it's strong, and it's but we're also very rooted in good old sit around the fire storytelling.
Do you choreograph most of the pieces?
I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if somebody wants to join the company, how do you recruit, or what is the process?
It depends on where the show is. Like for instance, with our Eve Off Broadway, we had 2 casts because we were doing 8 shows a week. And
wow!
It's a very, very physical,
intense.
rough, exhausting show. So we had to have 2 casts. We auditioned. We had a lot of auditions. And we post them in Backstage and on our website. And when we do things locally, like Andromeda, which is coming up, and we'll be doing our first kind of open to the public, still in development kind of thing, but you know, a show this summer in the Hamptons. I generally pull from the people I've worked with before and know. Yeah. But if I do, you know, need a particular kind of person, or one of my normal company members can't do it, I'll hold an audition or reach out to people that I know. Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody wants to have a dance company, what does it take to have a dance company? And how should they start the process?
It's really hard. It's really hard. You just have to know what you want to say and have something to say, and then just do it. And you can't let. I mean, the main way to do it, I would say, is just do it. I mean, and you can't let walls come up, and you can't let fears block you. Or you say there's a fear. Okay, I'm going to plow through that one. It's really about just the doing. It's really hard because there's never enough money. And there's never enough support. I mean, that sounds so negative, but you do it anyways. And if you do it anyways in those conditions, you know you're an artist.
So you have to really like it, want it, and be passionate about it.
You have to be willing to die for it. You have to be willing to be like, if I don't say these things in this art form, I will die. It has to feel that way.
There's no guarantee that you're going to make it, so you have to be willing to fail, I guess.
Yeah, well,
like with everything.
Right, with everything. and what does making it mean anyways?
Yeah.
You know, like we often, I think, say like, oh, I want that person's career, but that's the biggest killer of creativity, is comparing yourself or saying that's success to me and I want that. I mean, it's good to know like what your goals are, but they kind of have to be your own. They really do.
Right. Now, before we end, complete the statement referring to yourself. She is?
What an opportunity. Okay. She is steadfast, energetic, unstoppable, and kind.
I love that.
That's what I would want someone to say about me. I don't know if I can get off saying that about myself, but I would like other people to say that. Yeah.
Kate, thank you so much for joining me
Thank
with Woman to
you.
Woman.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having this forum for us.
I hope everybody feels the same way like you do.
Absolutely.
That's all from us. I'm Lucia Dragos. I will see you next time on She Is on Woman to Woman TV. If you like this episode, share it with your friends. Leave me a comment below who you want to see next time. And I'll see you next time on She Is.